Hi there, my name is Bishop Van Buren, and today I'm joined by Flatland Cavalry, a band that began here in Lubbock and just reminded its millions of listeners of that fact yet again with their new release, Lubbock. I imagine you run into a few people who just wholly do not understand what Lubbock or West Texas is like. How would you describe to them the effect that being from West Texas has on your sound?
I feel like the people in Lubbock, once again, because it's so isolated relative to Seattle to Miami, New York to San Diego, it's so isolated. Everyone's pretty self-reliant and reliant on each other. And as we started this whole project, I feel like we were reliant on each other just for going over to amusement park studios and cutting the EP and working with Scott and working with him changed our sound. He's someone that's really, put Lubbock on his back and in those regards. So if I was to tell someone from the rest of the United States what it's like, I feel like community and self-reliance, strong people,
If you can think back to the last time you were performing here in Lubbock, and I'm sure y'all had a turnout y'all enjoyed, but I am also sure you're expecting a bigger one at the Buddy Holly Hall this weekend. What sort of are you expecting out of that audience?
When we first played Lubbock, it was the Blue Light Live, and so it kind of capped out at like 300 people or something like that, and they've since made it bigger. So by the time we would return, the crowds get bigger and bigger. So like we do anticipate our largest, that's why we decided to do 2 nights there, a largest gathering of fans that from the very beginning and people that are just kind of showing up to school here and going, who's Flatland Cavalry, so it's like going to be a blend of all of our fans and those that we've yet to make. So I'm excited about that, to see the melding of the different, you can kind of see that, or we've seen that on the road.
Yeah, it'll be real interesting to see sort of the crowd that you'd imagine at a Blue Light put into that venue specifically, and y'all will see once y'all get there. I'm sure it'll be interesting. It'll be real interesting.
I feel like it's almost a homecoming of some sorts. 10 years later, coming back after all these experiences that we've had, coming back and feeling like everyone's partying together at the end of the day, especially in a great venue like Buddy Holly Hall.
For a lot of our NPR listeners, they may not be very familiar with Flatland Cavalry or especially your sound. Just how would you sort of preview your sound to them?
Simply, easy on the ears, heavy on the heart. We put that on our first EP come May in 2015. And whether it's a country song or folk song or rock song, a blues song, we just try to give the music to whatever the song's asking for. So a blend of different styles, but each one aims to be based upon some kind of real emotion and real experience.
Have there ever been moments where you've sort of interacted with someone and it's just been so clear to you that this person has not been to West Texas before you even talk about it?
When we played in New Jersey for the first time, there was a guy that was talking maybe 3 times faster than all of us.
Yeah, I remember him.
He noted, he goes, I like you guys. You guys are really chill. He's like, last week there was a band back here and they were all puking all over the place and it was a mess. He's like, you guys are cool, you're respectful, you're not blah blah blah, but it's like, he's like, you guys are from Texas, you got manners, is what he said. So I think there's that element within West Texas culture that's kind of like, we all probably got whipped a time or two probably for doing something dumb when we were kids, and you kind of learn to respect your elders and each other and stuff like that. So I think that kind of, when you're in a distant place, a strange land, we all can still deal with each other in respect and being friendly. That's another thing Lubbock's known for.
Yeah.
So kind of helps us out wherever we go.
Yeah, I can say as someone from Houston, I'm from the Houston area. I go to school here at Texas Tech. Whenever I tell people that I've seen real tumbleweeds, their minds are absolutely blown. How did the name Flatland Cavalry come to be? Was there any contention there?
It was a toss-up between, we had operated under different names. Clutto and the Noise was a really bad one. The other one was Dancing Crows, because our first bass player had these Velcro shoes that he'd go drinking at in the bar.
Called them the Dancing Crows. Yeah.
My name has been mispronounced my entire life, so I just wanted to do something band oriented, and I was jogging with my friend Earl back in college, and he said, "What about Cleto and the Texas Cavalry?" And I wanted to be flat. I thought Flatlanders was awesome. I didn't know it was a band because I was green and naive and stuff. And whenever he said Texas Cavalry, I was like, "What about Flatland Cavalry?" And he's like, "Sounds pretty good." It kind of stuck. It didn't feel embarrassing or like, man, yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of power in the name and stuff, and we didn't want to be anything that kind of wouldn't be taken seriously. But it's a group, so it's like the cavalry, and we're from the.
Yeah, if I must admit, I think it's even better than good. I think y'all hit the nail on the head. Obviously, y'all are all from Lubbock, y'all are from the area, but y'all didn't form together at one time. Can you take me a little bit through the journey of actually putting together the Cavalry?
Yeah, so moving here, I've known Jason since we were in 8th grade. We started jamming 10th grade to senior year of high school, and did 2 years there at junior college and Midland College, and still would jam at random events and stuff, play bars in town, and moved to Lubbock, and him and I were roommates. And like the first weekend we were there, just went out, I think, to O-Bar, and our eyes were open and ears were open to like seeking bandmates. We moved here to do the thing, you know what I mean? So slowly but surely pieces to the puzzle started being added, and met Reed through his brother, who was in a business fraternity. Myself were in at the Rawls, and he's like, "My little brother plays guitar." I heard you're looking for one. And I said, "Bro, everyone's little brother plays guitar." And he goes, "No, he's really good." So we jammed in the garage and came by, and been jamming ever since. But that's how he got looped in. And Johnny was the last bass player that I had gotten a hold of through one of the studio guys in the basement of the library, actually. Brett Brock gave me Johnny's number, and I was at my wit's end. It's like I'd been given this advice to like, you book it out, and if you book it, they will come. So I booked this show before the band was even still there. You know, it's like I've heard a phrase, "Leap and the net will appear." So like I booked a show at the Blue Light to sing all of our only original songs, but Johnny was the last piece of the puzzle at the time, and he had been playing with Wesley and Dolly Shine, another band. So that's how Wes got looped in eventually. And then Adam down there posted a video of him playing mandolin and banjo on a couple of our songs, and it just blew us away. And so we passed back through Lubbock to play a street party at the Blue Light. He sat in with us and has been sitting with us ever since. So it kind of just, honestly, and I tell us to Jason, he kind of mentioned it sometimes, but like I started to realize that like everything that you could ever need or want is like, it's already in your midst, it's in your presence. If your heart's open to it, your mind, and you're willing to look for it, and it's there already. So like anytime someone come along, it was like awesome. It's like it keeps building into this bigger thing.
So you mentioned Scott Ferris a little earlier in this interview. I'm just curious how the first album y'all created with him just came to be.
Yeah, so for my 18th birthday, a friend who's now our day-to-day manager, Roy Johnson, is also in the folklore of Flatland on the Coyote song, booked with my brother studio time at Amusement Park Studio. So that's how I got introduced to Scott. And I did like a little demo of songs, and that's how I met him. And then I was sitting at my coffee table prior to graduation, having what was probably my first panic attack ever, as I realized my time at Texas Tech was coming to an end, and I had to I got to get a real job, or got to do something about this music thing. So I picked up the phone and called Scott and asked him about recording a single, which was "Summertime Love." And then we did that, and then we started to get to work on, we just bundled, the other songs in there, and that happened like the last quarter of 2014, and then Kame came out in May of 15. So in that time, somewhere between there, we were working on the project. But y'all talk about Scott, man.
Yeah, Scott, if you've ever met him, is just a giant bubble of light. Just always got a smile on, always ready to do something he's excited about, anything. And that was no different when we came in. So you already felt comfortable. Especially for me, I was going to school for something totally different, not necessarily music. I was at a crossroads, like what was I going to do? But going in there at Amusement Park Studios, I felt comfortable at home, which I knew that was a good feeling, especially since I had never recorded anything ever. So that I was nervous because I wanted to sound good. But going in there, Scott, he understands the music. He understands, every instrument, and recording it. And it was just a massive plethora of instruction and just kind of understanding what was going on. And it was really the first time I'd ever been in a studio, like I said. So just having him there, it made everything feel right.
Going back to what you were saying about like our sound, I think a lot of it had to do, and this will tie in with this subject, is us three sitting in the front. We're not at all classically trained or professional musicians by trade. Like we're doing it for fun. And when we went into the studio, I think Scott could definitely sense that. I mean, yeah, so he really was super, super patient with us. And I mean, yeah, I remember him helping me on like so many of those guitar parts, like, because I was very, very green back then. I was just been playing for 5 years maybe. And yeah, just no intimidation factor with some of those studios that you go in where the producers can be super pushy and try to hurry you along. And yeah, just I remember him being very patient and helpful with all of our skill levels.
Yeah, to tie into what all the three guys said, Scott Ferris was he's a teacher, he's a producer, he's a dad, he wears a lot of hats, but he, like Reed and Jason said, like, I really believe that if these two guys would have moved to Austin or really anywhere, that this Flatland wouldn't have happened. And a lot of that has to do with Scott. And he really transformed the sound the way Cleto envisioned it. And a lot of people won't even take the time to do that with artists. They just press record and stop, record and stop. But he realized, oh, this is this kid's like dream. This is his like passion. These are real lyrics. And he invested that time into us. And so we really are appreciative of him and how he really, loves us as musicians, but as guys and as friends. And we owe a lot to him. So we're thankful for him.
A lot of your message about Scott really seems to resemble a lot of the messaging put forth about Lubbock itself. Just a community of people that want to help each other, and there's not a lot of pretentiousness to go around. Just what would you say to, even like, I have friends back home who say, why do you still live in Lubbock? Things like that. Just what would your counter be to sort of the hate that the city gets sometimes?
To get away from people like yours attitude. I'm just kidding.
That's totally right. That's what I've said before.
It doesn't feel pretentious here at all, actually. Once again, a community, and most people just act like they've never met a stranger. And I love that about Lubbock.
I was thinking about questions for this interview just a few days ago as I was actually walking past Buddy Holly Hall, where y'all are expected to play in a few days. And I was thinking of questions on my way into the First Friday Art Trail. Earlier this summer, there was a bit of a controversy around it. The city decided to cut funding for the event. And a lot of artists came out in protest, and amidst their protest, they really expressed a struggle with being an artist in West Texas, being in Lubbock, as compared to a place like Austin, for example, where maybe the art scene is a little bit more welcomed. Just as an artist who's found success starting here, what would your message be to Lubbock's creative community that is dealing with that problem, feeling like they have so much more of a hurdle to overcome than other cities?
The art's going to come out either way, whether you're being supported or not supported. So just keep making art and make this place beautiful, and work together to either bypass or collate together to keep that community flourishing. But yeah, that's definitely a bummer to hear.
So y'all have referenced this as a bit of a homecoming, and especially back in 2014 is when the ball sort of started to get rolling for y'all. If you could take a time machine back and give a message to a younger version of yourself in 2014 or in 2013, what would you say?
Just keep going. Don't give up. It's going to be tough, but it's going to be worth it.
I would say your dream of playing a guitar for a living is actually going to come true, dude. Like, yeah, it's going to happen.
I would tell myself, just as Reed said, your dream of being able to play music, play drums is actually possible. I guess at that moment, I almost didn't think it would be possible. So I tell myself that it's possible, and just strive for excellence in everything you do. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah, if you could tell yourself that it like John said, it'll be challenging and be hard, but when you make it through to the other side of it, you'll realize that anything that you can imagine and you're willing to work towards and believe in will absolutely, you can bring it here to this realm that we're sitting in. Whenever we exit and we go to the by and by, whatever it is, I'm not sure what that's all like, but I know for a fact that if you can imagine it and work towards it, anything's possible. So whether we start another Amazon company or something, I would have told my younger self, hey, if you want to be a billionaire, do not, maybe go down that road over there.
Yeah.
So Thursday and Friday, y'all are performing at the Buddy Holly Hall. Obviously, one of the bigger venues y'all have performed here in Lubbock, probably the biggest. So when you're backstage, what's sort of the pep talk y'all are going to be giving each other?
We've been playing music an hour before each show, hanging out together, vibing out. Before every show, Jason says a prayer. Reed will give us a little breakout, usually catered to the room or the setting that we're in or whatever. But I don't know, I just want to say that I truly believe that we all believe in each other. So, we're not afraid when we hit the deck. And usually at times when you're waiting before a show to happen, you can kind of get antsy, or you can confuse excitement for fear or anxiety or whatever it is. So, I don't know, I just don't really feel, I don't know what we're going to say or do or anything like that, but I know that we'll be hanging out and having a beer before or something, and just kind of maybe doing what we're doing right now, just playing I Remember When.
Yeah.
Have fun.
What's the future of Flatland?
As long as it remains easy on the ears, heavy on the heart, I'm excited for not knowing what the future holds, but just knowing that if you keep working towards creating art and music that resonates with real people, and bringing people together, as long as we're doing that, I'll be proud to keep it going. So
Thank y'all for taking the time to speak with me. It's truly been a pleasure to have y'all here.
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Of course, thank y'all. You said NPR, and then the couches were exactly what I was hoping.
Yeah, right?